Hey there, it's opening day and I'm ready for some baseball. Let's watch some stuff.
Do you guys remember when Trevor Bauer wrote a secret message on the pitcher's mound? So it was an Indians versus Cubs game, and Trevor Bauer was pitching for the Indians. But right before he started pitching, he started writing something with his cleats on the dirt. The message appears to say BD 911. So wait, is the message saying Bush did 9/11? So people saw this and right away, social media struck. There is no way he didn't mean Bush did 9/11. And someone else said, "This is disgusting. You should be ashamed of yourself." After the game, Bauer heard what the commotion was about, and he said, "Personal thing, completely unrelated to the senseless tragedy we endured on September 11th. Shame on anyone who says otherwise." Someone even asked Bauer what he actually meant, and Bauer said it was actually just to a close friend, his workout buddy or something. But I don't know. You guys know Trevor Bauer. Well, baseball fans do. And you know he gets in a lot of trouble.
Yes, I'm well aware that this was quite a while ago, but it's baseball season and I'm super excited. So we're going to talk about some baseball stuff today. Bauer is notoriously outspoken and he had no problem, voicing his political positions. So it's possible that he did that and he just kind of backtracked once he realized how much of a fuss it was causing. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think he was saying that Bush did 9/11, or do you think it really was something to one of his gym buddies? I don't know. I'm just going to pop in here for a second. Thank you so much for joining me for today's coffee talk. If you're having a good time, maybe you consider hitting that subscribe button and come back tomorrow because I'm making a new video every day.
One of the biggest World Series conspiracies has finally been debunked. And no, it doesn't have to do with this. The Red Sox have won the World Series 4 times since their infamous 86-year curse, and all of them have one very strange similarity. It's that each of those years' World Series logos features pennants, which are flags shaped like the ones that you see here. Here are the 4 logos: 2004, 2007, 2013, and 2018. This doesn't sound all that strange, however, these are the only 4 World Series logos to ever feature pennants on them. It's true, you can go back even earlier than this and check, no other logos have pennants in them. This is especially weird because the World Series logo is released before the season even starts. As of this year, that conspiracy is officially debunked. This year's World Series logo features a gold and a silver pennant. And obviously the World Series is Astros-Phillies, so the Red Sox won't be taking this one. Still, that is a wicked strange coincidence.
I never knew that. That is a super cool coincidence, though. As for 2022, we know who won that one. Yeah, they had a really good team for quite a while there. We'll see how they do this year.
If you thought the Shohei Ohtani gambling scandal couldn't get any wilder, you were wrong because the recent news is even crazier. Now, apparently Shohei and his interpreter Ippi Mizuhara have been friends since they were children, and that's why he hired him as his translator. But after people started digging into Ippi's past, it turned out that the degree he claimed he had at UC Davis was completely made up. Of course, Ippi does speak some English, and he's fluent in Japanese, which was his original language, but this is where things get really weird, because Shohei Ohtani speaks English. And now that the league realizes that Ohtani speaks English and wouldn't need a translator, it becomes even more convincing that the translator was just there to be the fall guy for Ohtani's gambling. But Ohtani is the league's biggest star and was just paid $700 million, so there's no way they can let him go. And while they're doing their best to cover up the story, people are still leaking information. So the most likely scenario here is that the MLB has to choose to reinstate Pete Rose. By doing that, they take away the precedent that gambling means a lifetime ban from baseball, which means Pete Rose would be inducted to the Hall of Fame. And as some sort of reparations effort, he would also be given a job in baseball to make them look good and like he didn't get ripped off of 30 years of coaching baseball. What does the future look like for Ohtani and the Dodgers? It's very simple. Ohtani will be playing, and his hitting coach will be Pete Rose.
This is a huge scandal, and it's so fresh right now. Ohtani's interpreter supposedly said, I looked it up because I didn't want to mess it up. So he said that Ohtani had wired money to an illegal bookmaker to cover the interpreter's debt that he had. And it was like $4.5 million. And then later he's like, oh, no. Ohtani never did that. He never did that. Yeah. So, and Ohtani's like, no, I never did any kind of betting. No, I never did anything illegal. That was not me. It was totally him throwing his interpreter under the bus, interpreter and friend under the bus. I'm curious to see what's going to happen because the Dodgers have dumped $1 billion on Ohtani and Yamamoto combined. And hopefully, they'll have a good team this year. They had a great team last year, a great team the year before. They just choked in the postseason. So let's see how they do.
How is it possible that the MLB's all-time hits leader is not in the Hall of Fame? Pete Rose played 24 seasons in the MLB, and for his career, he had a total of 4,256 hits, a record that will never be broken. After retiring from the Cincinnati Reds in 1986, Rose transitioned to being the team's manager. In February 1989, Rose had a meeting with the MLB's commissioner in New York, because it was known that he was frequently gambling and there was concern that he was betting on baseball games. And at the time, Pete Rose denied ever betting on a baseball game. But that was only the beginning of the investigation, and in May of that year, a 225-page report was handed over to the league. It was reported that Rose was betting over $8,000 a night on MLB games. And in 1987 alone, there were 52 games where it was shown that Rose was betting on the Reds to win. But with all the evidence that came out, Rose a few months later accepted a lifetime ban from baseball. But the thing is, Rose never bet against his team. To this day, he swears that he only bet on the Reds, the team he was the manager of, because he believed in and loved the team so much. Just last week, he sent this letter to the MLB asking for another chance at the Hall of Fame at 81 years old.
Speaking of Pete Rose from that last video, it's a real shame. Charlie Hustle was a fantastic baseball player, and he never threw a game. So there's no evidence proving that he ever threw a game, like intentionally lost a game. He always bet on them to win. So it is a shame. He did, do something that you're not supposed to be doing, but he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He was a fantastic baseball player. Oh, we met him several years ago. I don't know if he's still doing this, but he was at Caesar's Palace doing signings. Like, you could purchase his autograph. And we got a bat for my mother-in-law because that's one of her favorite baseball players. It's Pete Rose and Johnny Bench, who she loved, and we got her a bat for her birthday. Anyway, if he's still out there and you ever find yourself down in Las Vegas at Caesar's Palace, try to stop by and see him, say hello. He's a fantastic baseball player. He's a good man. He's a really nice guy.
Oh, look out.
Oh, good. Gotta move.
Close.
High stepping.
Oh, boy, there we go.
Mayday.
Oh, no.
He got eaten by the tar.
He's under there.
They're not even stopping. No pause.
Somebody's going to get him out of there.
Every man left behind, fend for yourself.
He's doing the crawl.
He's under there somewhere.
This is like basic training.
Lost him. Oh, man.
You can't leave a man behind.
There was no mercy. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Get your knees up. Ankles up. Ooh, swoop.
Oh, my goodness. And we finally got that guy out, too.
Hey.
Finally.
I just wanted to throw something silly in there.
Jimmy Hoffa disappeared almost a half-century ago. Fitting that the Union leader's middle name was Riddle, because no one's been able to solve where he is or how he died. A new theory says he might be buried near American Family Field. Madeline O'Neill connects the dots.
I'm standing here outside American Family Field, where cold case investigators say old Milwaukee County Stadium's third base was. They also say the body of Teamsters president Jimmy Hoffa may still be beneath this pavement.
You kept seeing somebody else would come out and say, well, we know where Jimmy Hoffa is.
Each off-base search for Jimmy Hoffa.
And he's in New Jersey, he's at this garbage dump.
Only made Jim Zimmerman more sure his theory's in the right ballpark.
That makes mine even more believable.
Zimmerman works with the Case Breakers, a group of volunteer investigators taking on unsolved crimes.
You always want to solve the unsolvable.
That now includes the 1975 disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa.
It could mean anything, you know what I mean?
A labor union leader who got involved in organized crime.
Everybody had a theory.
Zimmerman says their theory is that Hoffa's body was secretly moved in 1995, buried under the now demolished Milwaukee County Stadium's third base, near present-day Hellfair Field. That idea all started from a playing card in the 90s, with the clues written out from an uncle of Zimmerman's girlfriend at the time, who he calls a corrupt cop.
He bragged to some other locals up in Wisconsin about how he was involved with this.
He says his ex-girlfriend kept it under wraps out of fear of the mob until Zimmerman called Case Breakers in 2020. That year, the team used ground-penetrating radar in the area, getting a hit right where they say third base was.
And that's where there was a disturbance in the soil.
In October 2023, they brought in a cadaver dog team and handler.
We didn't tell her the area where we suspected it to be, and I'll be darned if that dog did not alert in that very area.
The volunteer investigators say they've done about all they can, and are now talking with the FBI, hoping to dig up concrete answers.
We would love to be able to get closure for the Hoffa family.
Cold case investigators say what happens next is in the hands of the FBI. In Milwaukee, Madeline O'Neill, Fox 6 News.
And on that note, the FBI telling Fox 6 tonight they can't comment as this remains an ongoing investigation.
Another place he was suspected to be buried under was Section 107 in the New York Giants Stadium. And the Mythbusters were out there in 2010, and they found nada. So he's still missing. It's one of the greatest mysteries of our times.
You're selling yourself short. You were actually the 16th comment. The Curse of the Colonel is a supposed curse that lurks over the Hanshin Tigers, which is a Japanese baseball team. If you want to think of an MLB equivalent, you can probably think of the Chicago Cubs. Both teams are very valuable, have very dedicated fans, and despite their size and money, don't really put out series titles as much as they probably should. After their first series win in 1985, they celebrated by having people who looked like players on the team jump into the Dotonbori Canal. However, they couldn't find anybody who looked like their first baseman at the time, Randy Bass. So their solution was to rip a Colonel Sanders statue that was outside a local KFC and throw it into the canal. After tons of seasons with no pennant wins, it was believed that they were cursed until the statue could be fished out of the river, and it ultimately was in 2009. This was so widely accepted that when they did make it to the series in 2003, a lot of local KFCs moved their statues indoors to protect them from Tigers fans. Since the statue was recovered, they've been to the series one more time in 2014, but lost to the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks.
So it's not only in American baseball and all other sports, really. There's a lot of superstition. Like you have to be wearing a certain necklace, or your buttons have to be buttoned a certain way, or you have to put your shoes on in a specific order. There's a lot of superstition surrounding sports. My kids played sports, and there was always all kinds of dugout chatter whenever somebody got a good hit. They're like, oh, whatever you did, do it the same way every game, so that way you can keep getting good hits. And it's just a thing. But it's funny how the KFC's out there deciding to move their Colonel Sanders indoors. They don't want him thrown in the river again.
MLB players were caught cheating. Like at number 3, when Sammy Sosa put something in his wood. And when the bat broke, cork was inside, which gave Sosa extra power on hits, so he was ejected. But at number 2, this pitcher was hiding something on his neck. Until the umps noticed he was wearing an illegal substance, pine tar, that gave him more grip on his balls, so dude got suspended. But at number 1, the Astros cheated their way to a championship. From having staff banging on trash cans, to having Astro players wear buzzers they got shocked with. These signs let players know what pitches were coming, so they'd easily hit home runs. Cheating led to them winning the World Series. But when the scandal got leaked, the Astros were fined $5 million, became baseball's most hated team, and that's why.
Yes. And the Houston Astros have proven themselves time and time again over the last 7 years since this incident. How many times have they gone to the postseason? How many times have they gone to the World Series? Thank you very much. And as far as being the most hated team in MLB history, let's go ahead and Google that. Okay? Go ahead and Google most hated MLB teams. Top of the list, LA Dodgers. And I think that has something to do with the violence that happens a lot, or that has happened a lot at the stadium. Some of the fans just get a little Dodger crazy. As far as the second place is still not Houston Astros. It's the New York Yankees. Go figure. I don't understand them. They have like some gigantic dudes, man. They like recruit them at birth or something. They're like breeding them to be baseball players. They're huge, like towering brick shit houses of dudes, right? And then third place we have our Houston Astros. So yeah, no, still not the most hated team in the MLB. That's going to be the end of it for me today. I've got a ball game to watch. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Have a fantastic opening day. Here's my cutting room floor. 3, 2, 1. Welcome. It's opening day. It's opening day. It's opening day. It's opening day, and I am ready for some baseball. That's quite an interesting coincidence. But we know who took 2022. Yeah. Ice makes too much noise. He did a press conference for like 12 minutes where he's just like, no, I never did anything illegal. I didn't do any betting. Speaking of Pete Rose, Charlie Hustle, that he was suspected to have been buried was under Section 107 in the New York Giants Stadium. And I remember in 2010, yeah, I looked it up. I don't remember these things. They went out with their like ground penetrating X-ray stuff and they searched the area and they didn't find anything. I know a lot. There's a lot of superstition, like you have to be wearing a certain necklace or your buttons have to be buttoned a certain way or you have to put your shoes on in a specific order. There's a lot of superstitions. Yes. And yes. And the Astros, they've actually proven themselves time and time again over the last 7 years, and they're a phenomenal clubhouse, and I love the team. So deal with it. I've got a ball game to watch. Have a wonderful opening day.